6 o'clock. Okay, if you would stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody who's attending. We have approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes of the agenda? If not, do we hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Public comment.
I'm just wondering if I could have a sliver of time on your agenda.
Actually, you are on our agenda
Okay, thank you.
for new business items. You are actually B on our new business items. So if you'll hang in there with us. Okay, thank you. Okay, public comment. Do I hear anybody? Thank you. I see you, Ken. Go ahead.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is Ken Van Busker from Belfair. I take it that there's just two of the Commissioners present tonight?
That's correct.
Okay. Several months ago, Mr. Jeff Carey and myself brought to your attention that there were several meeting minutes that needed to be corrected. And last month when I brought it up, Mr. Capola assured you that they'd be corrected. I looked online this afternoon and those minutes have not been corrected yet. So there's a communication breakdown or something there. Secondly, before you approve the number 5 action item, I have a question about the general fund voucher. So I'm not sure if you want to hear it now or wait until you approve those, but in that general fund voucher, there's a $2,500 for legal fees for Foster Garvey. And I thought Foster Garvey had been replaced by a different firm. So I was surprised to see that.
I can address that when we get done. I can address that, Ken, or Larry can, whatever.
Well, when you get to that section, sure. And lastly, when you get to section 10 about the new business, especially item D, writing a letter to legislators, I would like to speak briefly, if I might, when you get into that section.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to address the minutes.
Yes.
The minutes have been corrected. They have not been posted online, but I'll send the corrected versions to Greg tomorrow.
Okay. Did you hear that?
Yeah, well, that's what I thought was going to happen last month, but okay, I'll keep looking.
All right, thank you. We're at public comment. Jeff, do you have anything?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, at the podium, please. You're located there now so that everybody can hear on Zoom.
That's fine.
Okay.
It doesn't matter where. Jeff Carey, Belfair. Two quick things. One is just to let the board know, the commission know, that there's going to be a rezone. Business park zoning that we have in Allyn to village commercial. And personally, I can't comment on it because I serve on the planning commission, so just letting the board know that it's coming. There's a hearing, back hearing on the 17th of April at 6 o'clock.
Okay. At the county?
Pardon me?
At the county?
Yes. They also have a Zoom meeting.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. Second thing is, Larry and I talked a little bit this morning about moving ahead with the different aspects of what's needed and required with regards to water systems. I just want the board to know that we need to kind of, if we're going to try to wrap this up by the end of June, that's 90 days minus a day or two, and basically you start looking at the attorneys and all and then hearings and everything else. It's going to be snug. Mm-hmm. So, but we're ready to work on it. And I've covered some options with the director.
Okay,
And, you know, there's nothing we're in disagreement about. We have to nail down the new price, but we've covered all those things in the past, so it should not be an issue.
okay.
So,
I'm gonna try to talk Jeff into giving us a big discount.
and I indicated, well, let's do some boundary line adjustments and see what we can get another line to out of this. So there's options, there's ways to reduce the price. Like I mentioned, just generally speaking to Larry about this morning, but the biggest thing is that we gotta get a memorandum of agreement back in place so I can give that, if we're gonna knock out a couple of the steps or the time that seems to go with
Okay.
our attorneys, if I'm gonna do it, I need to get my attorney on board and moving.
So we need to get, yeah.
I'll go into this a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Great.
And that's it, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Anybody else? Do you have any, it's public comment time.
Good, thank you.
Okay, all right. Nobody else? Okay, moving along. It's commissioners' reports. Ted?
Let's see, I attended the general meeting.
Oh, did I
No,
forgot
sorry.
consent?
Yeah, you forgot to approve.
Man, I
the
forgot the whole
consent.
meeting here. Hello. And also, I wanted to mention that John Sheridan may attend via Zoom, but if not, he asked to be excused, in case you were wondering. So now we go to the consent items, which is the regular meeting minutes of March 6th.
I'll make a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Action items. Go ahead, Ted.
Make a motion to approve general fund vouchers 2304020001 to 2304020028 for $24,861.22. Item B, payment of payroll vouchers 2301010001 to 2304010012 for $22,710.52. And payment of the item C, payment of the water fund vouchers 2304030001 to 2304030006 for $6,953.15. And item D, approve the use of digital signatures on all documents.
Okay, and I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Now we can go to,
Just a minute, Mr. Van Buskirk's question.
yes, go ahead.
Um,
Can you hear? Hopefully he can hear. Talk loud, Larry.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was curious
okay, what that
about
is,
the cost for Darby.
is we still owe them money and we're just paying them that much per month until the balance is paid.
Okay, but they're no longer the Port
No, they are
Judicial
not.
Attorney, right?
They are not.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners' reports.
I attended the general meeting last month, and then today I attended the BATS meeting, which is the digital broadband. And there's a wonderful group of people working on this. They broke it up into different aspects. There will be a survey. They're sending it out to as many people in our community as possible. For the commissioners, I will send it to executive director, and he can forward it off to you. But we have a June 14th deadline to get all this done and presented to the state to get some much needed internet access out here. So more to come on that. There's meetings at least twice a week. So
Wow, great, thank you
Mhm.
for doing that. That's great. I hear Port of Greatviews on it too.
Yes.
So that's great.
yes.
Okay, mine, of course, was the regular meeting, March 6th. March 9th was EDC, and I want to thank the Legislative Committee for keeping up on the bills that have an impact on our community. HB 1313, which was in regard to ADOs, monies for those. And then the ESHB, which is 1333, which is about the 0.9 tax use. And then also March 16th, I went to the Trash Mash cleanup, and I gave them water and donuts and goodies for all the volunteers. It was well attended. There's about 20 people. I want to thank Linda Wodowich and DNR for carrying on. Cleaning up, they did a lot there. had a big 40-yard dump that they filled. And then March 29th, the audit exit meeting. Okay, next is Travis, our security officer's report.
Hello,
No.
everyone.
Hi.
Travis, Port Allen Security. So halfway through the month, somebody decided to break into the North Shore Pump House. Unfortunate. They didn't really make off with much. I think a socket set and a few other items. Left a brand new shovel. Looks like they might have backed into it with a car, and it just enough to push it open. So it was just pushed back closed. I didn't actually notice it. Somebody walking by had actually noticed it maybe the next day or the day after, because I don't generally like go all the way into that parking lot on the other side. I just kind of pull up and I go down to the dock and then get back in the car and go. So if there's nobody over there in the parking lot, I don't really worry about it. Dawn met Mason County Sheriff down there. We got ourselves a case number for various insurance reasons. So from there, it's in the office's hands.
Okay.
We, of course, have the reoccurring sea lion problem again.
Oh,
Yes. I'm sure everybody that lives around the water is quite perturbed. I'm not sure what we really do about that. There's not a whole lot of things we can do with the way the laws are set for their protection.
yeah.
And then we have a errant paddle boat that we're trying to figure out who owns the darn thing on the North Shore. The people that had their boat next to it originally claim it's not theirs. Leanne and I are trying to figure out exactly who owns it so that we can charge them mortgage for it. But of course it's a paddle boat, there's no registration on it.
Interesting, okay.
So I had talked last time about using a distance laser to try to see if any of those boats out in the harbor have been getting too close. I ended up picking that up and finding out that it wasn't quite the right tool, so I ended up returning it. I'm going to do some more investigations on whether a rangefinder would be a preferable solution, something that can be done in low light or no light at all, because that will be the necessary function since I'm not really there in the day that often. So keep on that, and
Okay.
that's my report.
All right.
Any questions?
No?
No, I will ask to see, there's very few deterrents anymore for sea lions.
No,
You know, we used to be able to just shoot off some cracker shells, which
Right.
are M80s.
but I don't think you can anymore.
No, you can't
Yeah.
anymore, so.
We
well,
tried using a foghorn, but they just come back as soon as we
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah, and there's a reason why they're up there, so.
Yeah.
So, but,
Unfortunately, it's the longer they're there, the greater the chance to the damage to the dock.
right,
Because
It's a lot of weight.
they are weighty.
Yeah.
And then there's also the greater chance to the risk to the public.
right.
Because people like to go down there and get probably too close. So,
If I find something out, I'll let you know.
okay, I appreciate it.
Let Larry know.
Great.
you.
Thank you, Travis.
And we put those signs up telling them to be quiet.
Yeah. They aren't listening.
Yeah. As far as the damage at the North Shore, it fell underneath of our deductible for our insurance, so.
just a caved-in door.
Yeah,
That's
so
really all it
Don ordered another steel door and put it in, and we lost the socket set and the shovel, and that's about it,
Hmm.
so. Anyway,
Okay. Well.
into
yeah.
my report.
Well, now you have another report.
Okay, state audit. As you know, we've been undergoing our scheduled state audit for the period from 2019 through 2021. Was completed last week and overall was quite positive for us. In the exit conference last week, the auditor proclaimed us as having a clean audit. There are no findings, no management letters issued, and the auditors found we fully complied with all state laws, rules, and regulations, as well as our own policies and procedures. This is the third clean audit we've had in the 8 years I've been here. Considering the unprecedented amount of turmoil we experienced during 2020 and 2021, I'm proud to say the results reflect exceptionally well in the way the port is managed. We posted the video of the exit conference on our website and on our Facebook page as well. Financial issues. Revenues continue to perform as expected for this time of year in this economy. Cash flow is very, very tight, and we most likely will need to borrow against the line of credit this month, but we'll begin paying back whatever we borrow after we receive our property tax receipts at the end of this month. On the positive side, we start to get gazebo reservation inquiries, which is a bit earlier than usual. Water system issues. The final location of the new well and the booster pump is the main issue holding this project up at this point. Our primary goal at this juncture is to use the grant money to acquire Jeff Carey's system, including the well and the 8 lots comprising a sanitary area around it. Jeff's well is capable of handling all our needs for now and, according to our engineers, in a number of years into the future. If we can get Commerce and Ecology to sign off on this, all we need to do is for Jeff to get a cultural resources survey completed on the property, and we can move forward with a purchase and sale agreement. I've talked to Commerce, and they're amenable to this if the legislature agrees. Holly, our lobbyist, and I met with Dan Griffey 2 weeks ago, and he supports the plan and said he will help. Then all we need is for Ecology to agree to let Jeff's well be the one to replace ours, and we're good to go. Our goal for the completion of all this is June 30th. Putting the booster pump on the same site as the well makes great sense, and if we ever need to drill a second well, that site will work for that as well, with all the main hurdles already overcome. Counties changed the process for issuing water availability letters required by the county for building permits. Northwest Water is now issuing those letters, and they are insisting on payment of the connection fees to us from the developer before the letter is released. Allyn Pier Replacement Project. Our options for this project are to replace the entire pier with a completely new structure, or to sleeve the existing pilings, which effectively gets the creosote out of the water. However, we will have to drive new pilings for the ones that are missing. We're looking into the feasibility and useful life of both versus cost. In the meantime, the contractors who repaired the North Shore dock are going to give us a bid on sleeving of the pilings. I was hoping to have that today, but I didn't get it. If the cost is under the $500,000 we're looking for in this year's budget for planning and design of a new dock, when the lobbyist and I met with Representative Griffey, he said he would support using the money for that. That's if it winds up in the final budget. It was included in the House budget, but not the Senate version. That same week, I had a meeting with Senator Christine Rolfes, who heads the Ways and Means Committee. She said she would look into it. She's been very good to us over the years for this stuff. Sleeving the piling should fix the immediate problem, but put off any rebuild for at least 10 years or more. But we're not going to know anything until we receive the bid and we know the final outcome of the budget. Support letter. On your agenda for tonight is a discussion of sending a letter to the legislature in support of funding for the State Route 3 freight corridor. This has been partially funded in previous years and was included in last year's biennium budget, but the governor line item vetoed it for what appears to be purely political reasons, moving completion out 12 years to the 2035-37 biennium. County commissioners have sent a letter asking funding to be restored and are asking other entities to do so as well. I've drafted a letter which is in your meeting packet as well as a copy of the county's letter. I strongly recommend we do this. SAO presentation. Also on the agenda tonight is a short presentation from the State Auditor's Office on the legal powers of ports. There's been some question raised about the legality of us being in both the park and recreation business as well as the water business. This presentation by the State Auditor's Office will clarify that. We are, in fact, completely compliant with state law. None of our lines of business violate any RCWs or WACs. Staff change. As you are all aware, our administrative assistant, Sunshine Mars, has missed a fair amount of work due to health issues. She notified us unofficially last week she's elected to stay with family in Wisconsin and will not be returning. At this point, we don't believe it's necessary to replace her, as we can outsource some of the accounting work with Leanne picking up the majority of Sunshine's work for a lot less money than a replacement employee will cost. Security camera issues. We're going back to small claims court on May 17th and have refiled for $5,000. We may have to absorb the loss of the difference, which, considering that while we will most likely prevail, there's no guarantee we'll get paid. In my view, this is our best shot at any kind of recovery for the least amount spent. If we prevail, I will ask our attorney if we can file for the remaining amount. Sign update. There's no update on this considering the weather. No one's been able to work on it. But spring right around the corner, we hope. We'll get a break in the weather and Don and I will figure out next steps. Kayak park. We've received some communication. There are grants available for electric vehicle charging stations. Since we continue to search for a way to increase usage of the park, I'd like to get your thoughts on using that as a venue for this. Could be valid, as we have a restroom facility which would make it attractive for users, and we could create a new revenue stream for the port. I'm waiting for confirmation from RCO this would be an allowable use for the park. They sent me some stuff. They want some information from me about it, and I'll get that together and get it to them this week.
If you talk to Thera Black, she has information in regard to that.
I know that.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
know. She is one of the places that I've got some
Yeah,
of the communication from. Oyster House. There are no updates on the Army Corps permit to report, but for the agenda for tonight, our engineer for this project, who will present an update on the status of things and answer any questions you may have. We also invited the members of the Historical Society board to this meeting so they can ask questions as well, and we can make a decision on the path forward. Meanwhile, our engineer is still researching additional options. We may be able to pull a rabbit out of the hat with the Army Corps, but it's too soon to tell. Sweetwater Park, nothing new on the proposal to create a disc golf course on Sweetwater Park property. Salmon Center, which owns a portion of the proposed site, is on board with this. We would not have to do anything except allow access to the property, as the proponents would build the entire course and take it apart if and when we get ready to develop the property. The main issue I see is the liability situation with the danger trees the arborist identified. Something we should discuss with the proponents, as Mr. Fisher had some ideas on that we may want to explore. Salmon Center and DNR did another round of cleanup a couple of weeks ago, and it seems they may only need one more shot at getting everything out of there. Mindy Harlow from the Salmon Center is coordinating this and hopes to get that underway shortly. I spoke with her right before the meeting, and she said one day next month. In the meantime, the entire property remains closed to the public, and the trail cameras continue to be monitored. And Kitsap Fall Ports meeting, next meeting is set for April 24th. And that's my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I don't have any.
I don't either.
Okay. You already covered old business, so now we are at the presentation of, with Sean from Geoengineers.
Yes.
Sean, we don't have anybody from North Bay Historical Society here.
We invited them all.
Yeah. I know that they knew about it, at least I thought that they were. So, do you want to do a little brief overview anyway, or of what the options would be?
We can, if you guys would like to, just give a brief discussion on it, if you'd like.
Sure, at least we can get the ball rolling on that. It was explained that, you know, the Army Corps permit had expired, I guess long ago, that we weren't aware of. And now we're faced with only a couple options, I guess. So would you like to explain those options about the Oyster House?
Sure. Yeah, so the options would be trying to reapply the same permit, or what the Corps has identified would be their option is to submit a new permit application referencing the previous permit application. The mitigation requirements have changed since the original permit was submitted years ago, and the current mitigation requirements through National Oceanic Spirit Administration Fisheries Division requires substantial amounts of mitigation, which the option there would be to try to identify additional mitigation on port properties or otherwise within the same area, or would require purchase of what they call conservation credits to offset the impacts as mitigation credits, essentially. If either of those options are selected, another option would be looking at ways to avoid the need for a Corps permit and potentially get a no permit needed letter from the Corps of Engineers, which would require that there were no blue water structures waterward of the mean high water mark, and there was no fill or removal placed below the high tide, which the two Corps of Engineers jurisdictional lines.
So with the other option, not having it over the water so much, it pretty much sets it back, and correct me if I'm wrong, like 15 feet from what the original plan was? Does that sound right?
No, I think it would be at maximum probably 15 feet water.
Water what?
Waterward from the okay.
Okay.
So, but I have much stuff right now. If you look, like if the entire structure was out over water, it looks like it probably set it back more like 25, 30 feet from the original location.
Okay. Well, since we don't have any North Bay Historical Society people here, at least they can take a look at what you've just said and we can make some decisions. Because we have to get that over the water somewhere, get it near the water. It's been sitting too long. Any questions from the audience at all? No?
I have a couple questions.
You do?
Yeah. Hey,
Go
Sean, how far out is the Army Corps on issuing permits? So if we were to ask for renewal based on our previous permit, how far out, just a rough estimate, I wouldn't hold you to a time frame.
It's, it's a very, well, that time frame is extremely very, I would say, at minimum, I would plan for a year, but there is a, that could take twice the amount of time or more, depending on the backlog of consultations that no issues has.
And this is a question, if we were to wrap and get those creosote pilings off the dock, can we use that as mitigation, do you think? Again, I won't hold you to it, although you're being taped.
I haven't seen that used as mitigation. Generally, the mitigation resulting from creosote is the actual removal of the pile and calculated into that NOAA calculator as tons of creosote treated debris.
Okay, I
So
really,
it happens. Okay.
I appreciate you answering those questions. I'm just curious to see our time frame to get the Oyster House done compared to getting new permits and do what we intended, previously intended on doing, compared to trying to make some adjustments on where we place the Oyster House and trying to take a little shorter time frame route. So.
Yeah.
As we had discussed before, Sean, when we talked about this, the removal of the old launch ramp did provide some mitigation, but not near enough now, correct?
The removal of the previous one, it sounded like from what Pam said that they most likely would not consider that as mitigation to the Corps of Engineers, and through the mitigation calculator, it did generate an amount of mitigation, but not enough to compensate for the original plan location of the Ocean House.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you, Sean. Next, Steve Dunkel. Thank you. He's our clerk. Yes. Steve, our auditor. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Hey, so I wanted to start out by saying I'm Steve Dunkel, I'm your county auditor, and I want to thank you, Commissioner Scott and Commissioner Jackson and Executive Director Capola for having me on your agenda tonight. The reason I'm here is we have been awarded an information security grant from the Office of Secretary of State to help us shore up our election system, the security of our election system. One of the things that we've been approved to do with this grant is to install surveillance video cameras at all of our Mason County ballot drop box locations. You have one out front. And so I'm here tonight to seek the permission from the Port of Allyn to install, working with Hood Canal Communications, a surveillance video camera for the ballot drop box. And the main purpose really is to provide additional security for elections personnel while they're out and about collecting ballots and locking and unlocking drop boxes. Also provide another layer of security for people who are placing their ballots in the drop boxes, right? And so with that, we also intend to have that video streamed from our ballot drop boxes live during the election season for anybody to tune in through the elections website, much along the lines of the DOT camera, and they can watch for themselves all the fantastic activities going on at our various drop boxes. So that's why I'm here. I'm humbly asking for your permission to have Hood Canal Communications install the camera. I'm not sure what the formal mechanism for that would be if you guys decide to go along with it, but that's my request for tonight.
I have no problem with it.
I would make a motion that we approve the county auditor's request to place a security camera at the ballot drop box.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you
Got
so
it.
much.
Yeah.
Is there anything we need to do to formalize that, or is it something you would just capture in your minutes?
That's all we need, right
Yeah,
there.
we just captured it in the minutes, I
Yeah.
think is fine. I don't think we need a,
it every day.
yeah, I don't think we need a resolution either.
Okay.
Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
walk by there every day.
Okay.
I don't think we need a resolution for that either.
No, we don't.
So I think we're.
Well, thank you very much.
And as long as you're,
Again, thank you for your time. It's great to see you guys again.
Yeah.
Keep up the great work here at the
and
Port
thank
of
you.
Allyn.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Very much.
Thanks. That's great. Okay, now, next, thank you, Steve. Next is our video presentation from the State Auditor's Office on port districts and their legal capacities.
All right. Hopefully this works.
Hey, well, something
There
happened.
we go.
Okay.
All right. There's been some questions about whether we're in the recreation business legally or not, whether we're in the water business legally or not, and this should answer those questions.
Washington State has the largest locally controlled public port system in the world, with over 80 port districts. Our ports come in all sizes, from the Northwest Seaport Alliance of Seattle and Tacoma, the fourth largest container gateway in North America, to the smallest ports that only operate a small boat launch or marina. Port districts are the type of local government known as a special purpose district. They have one primary purpose: economic development. You'll find Washington ports across the state, and not just near the water. You may not know that in addition to operating shipping terminals, marinas, and docks, ports also have the authority to own and operate airports, industrial sites, business parks, railroads, parks, and recreation facilities. Ports may also have toll facilities, pollution control facilities, water sewer facilities, fire departments, and police departments. A port's governing body consists of either 3 or 5 publicly elected officials who form a port commission. The commission is the policy-making and regulatory body. They approve facility construction and improvements, establish rates and regulations for the use of port facilities, levy taxes, borrow money, and adopt the budget. The Port Commission hires others to conduct the port's day-to-day activities. A manager or executive director may be hired to carry out commissioner-approved policies, manage leases and contracts, and oversee operations and personnel. Some port commissions appoint a treasurer, although many choose to have the county treasurer perform the port's treasury function. State law requires port commissions to appoint an auditor for the port. Port districts are a public enterprise whose main goal is economic development and job creation. Ports finance their operation and their long-term investment needs for growth with 4 different revenue sources: taxes, service fees, bonds, and grants or gifts. Taxes and bonds are typically used to finance large construction projects at the port. This might include building warehouses, marinas, or enlarging airports. Leasing port property is an important business activity of most ports. When a district builds a facility, it may use it for its own operations, but most often leases the facility to a business and collects rent. Port districts also collect rental and sales revenues such as moorage and launch fees at a marina, hangar rental and landing fees at an airport, concession or fuel sales, or equipment and facility rentals. Money collected from these revenues supports all of the port's activities, like industrial development, trade promotion, tourism promotion, and facilities and economic development programs. As a resident of a port, there are ways you can be involved in your port. Since they are a public entity, districts must have meetings that are open to the public. You can attend these meetings or read the meeting minutes. Ports must create and update a comprehensive improvement plan, which is also called a master plan. Public review is required to develop these plans, so this is an opportunity to participate in the development of your port district. Want to know more about your port district? Most districts have a website that includes lots of information about the district. The Washington Public Ports Association website has additional background information on ports. You can see your port's audit results or financial data by visiting SAO's website. Our Financial Intelligence Tool, or FIT, is a great place to start. With this tool, you can learn where your district's money comes from, where it goes, compare it with other port districts, and even see the district's finances over time. Do you still have questions about port districts or want additional resources? Contact us. We would be happy to hear your questions and share more information with you. Email us at center@sao.wa.gov. We look forward to hearing from you.
Great, thank you.
Well, there you are.
Okay. Any questions? No? Okay.
Any questions?
You already had your questions, right?
I have a question
Okay, Ken?
or a comment. Yeah, I appreciate that video presentation, but regarding park and rec facilities, I respectfully, they say you can have them, but it goes counter to that 5208-260. They have to be necessary to more fully utilize existing port facilities, in my opinion, and from what that says. So I think that was taken a little bit out of context in that presentation. And it might be worthwhile to research that a little bit more. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is the discussion of writing a letter to our legislators about the support of the funding for the Highway 3 freight corridor. Larry?
I think, the issue speaks for itself, and
Indeed.
that we should do that. The county is looking for support for that, just the same way we asked for support for them for our request for funding for the pier. And I think we should be happy to return the support.
Well, I would agree, for sure.
And I did draft a letter, which was in your meeting packet.
Yeah, and I have that in front of us here. Ted, do you have any thoughts?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I know Ms. Van Busker want to say something about it.
Mhm.
And so I agree I saw the county's letter and I saw what Executive Director wrote. I agree, they're good letters, so.
Okay, Ken, did you have any comment?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Scott. I just wanted to speak briefly. I attended the commissioners meeting last week when they approved that. When I saw it, I was the one that forwarded it to all the public entities up here in North Mason County. And I forwarded that to you and to Larry Capola. And Mr. Capola interjected in his executive director's report that the governor vetoed it last time for purely political reasons. That's really uncalled for in a report. As I told the county commissioners when I testified before them, I think it's great, and I asked them to include sending the letter both to the House of Representatives and to the governor. And that letter that got forwarded to you folks didn't have that in there, but they did approve it with both of sending it on to the House and to the governor. And I would like to suggest that you folks do the same, send it to the governor as well as the House of Representatives. But I think it's great finally getting some cohesion from all of the different agencies. I know the hospital district's already signed on, PV3 is signed on, and I think it's forthcoming from the fire department and the school district as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
I agree, sending it to the governor is a good idea.
Yeah.
I agree also. We could use the same look.
Yeah, all we gotta do is just add the CC on it. In talking with Holly, our lobbyist, she said that it is still in the House and Senate budgets, it just was not in the governor's budget.
Okay.
But as of last week, it was still in both the House and the Senate.
Oh,
So, but there's no telling what can happen.
yeah, well, the letters.
And the governor can line item veto it like he did last time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do you need a motion to approve this letter?
Yes.
Okay. Ted, would you like to do that?
I'll make a motion to approve the letters to the Senate and to the House of Representatives, and then include the governor's office.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Yeah, we can't delay it anymore. Here, I really thought it was gonna happen. I
And much
really
less
thought it was gonna happen.
put it out 12 more years. You
That's
know?
silly.
Yeah.
Okay, anything, now we're to the good of the order. Anything for the good of the order?
Probably remind them in that letter that the Allyn Township is older than the state and it needs sidewalks.
Well, maybe, okay. They might throw out the letter then, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes I do that.
Well, we desperately need it with the new housing in Belfair, and they've made no improvements at all. It's just silly.
Belfair getting sidewalks changed Belfair so dramatically.
It did, yeah.
If they can't find money to do it here, I mean, it's just sad. I mean, we've got a huge housing development in Lakeland Village that's been there for years, and they can't seem to, I mean, don't they have sidewalks almost up to Lakeland Village?
Almost.
Yeah, almost.
Almost.
And we'll have a single sidewalk on Highway 3.
Sidewalk that the port built.
True.
Yeah.
Well, I know that they've had some easement issues, but that's why they haven't touched it, right?
You think?
You think? Okay, yeah. Keep pressing forward, though.
Yeah,
Anything
Ken has
else?
his hand up.
Okay, Ken?
I just wanted to thank you for the meeting this evening, and have we, as the board come to a conclusion or consensus about when they're going to advertise for the executive position, director's position?
No.
No, we have not.
Okay,
All right.
I have
thank you.
one last thing I forgot to add is the salmon enhancement group that we've been working with. We did a presentation, I shouldn't say we, one person on the committee did a presentation to the Fish and Wildlife Commission, and it was very well received. And as a matter of fact, we got a letter back saying how well received it was. So the group is still very active, and it went very, very well. The gentleman did an excellent job. So I'm very happy. We're going to be doing some other stuff with Fish and Wildlife and the Squaxin tribe to try to get something out here, so improve our fishing out here.
Wonderful. Good of the order, Department of Natural Resource has Tahuya Forest Cleanup Day on April 22nd, which is in a few weeks on Saturday. I usually feed lunches. I have box lunches, so there's usually really good attendance. Last year was more than 50 people out there. The staging area will be at the old Oak Patch campground, which is off of Effendall Pass. And they'll have a couple of dumpsters, and we've had lots of turnout to clean up, you know, all how many people dump out there. But the forest is heavily used. It's really one of the economic drivers for Belfair in this area because it's greatly used. So if you can attend, even just go rah rah sis boom bah, please show up. Be great. April 22nd, starts at 9 o'clock. That's it for me. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, second. So moved. Thank you, folks.
Thanks, John.